What is going on YouTube? It's Andreas here from Symmetry 4-Wheel Drive and welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video we are going to dive into the world of tires, and specifically we are going to be doing a review on the BF Goodrich KM3 Mud-Terrain tires, which you can see behind me on the 80 series here. So without further ado, this is going to be quite an in-depth video, but we are going to try keep it as short as possible, so let's dive right into it. So you might be thinking, what sort of experience or point of reference do I have to give you a review on these BF Goodrich KM3 Mud-Terrain tires? So to begin there at the beginning of my experience with these particular tires, I have had 3 sets of these tires. So you'll see there's a bit of a theme of threes here. So I've had 3 sets of these tires in 3 different sizes on 3 different vehicles over the last 3 years. So I think as a point of reference I have quite a lot of experience when it comes to on-road and off-road experience, I guess again the word is, with these tires. Breaking down this tire into what makes it up and what makes this tire unique or specific, as well as some of the technologies that go into this BF Goodrich KM3 Mud-Terrain tire. So starting off with the sidewall and aggressive tread pattern on this tire. So if we have a look at this tire, we can distinctly see that in the center it has 2 main tread blocks. So often on an all-terrain you might have 3 or much closer packed together in terms of the void spaces between these tires, but as we can see here on this KM3 tire we have 2 distinct tread blocks down the center of the tire, and then moving more towards the edge of the tire, that's where we have our shoulder blocks on each side. So taking the tire on its profile, directly looking at the tread, we can see that there are 4 distinct tread blocks, 2 in the middle and 1 shoulder on either side. And when we have a look at this design in particular, we can see how big the void spaces between these tread blocks are, and that assists with the tire's ability to dig into the terrain to find traction, as well as ejecting material such as mud and deep sand and things like that, in order to not clog up that tread design and keep it clean to be able to be functional and doing what it's supposed to do. So that is one of the first noticeable things we can see on this KM3 tire, is that tread pattern and tread block design with those 4 distinct tread blocks and the massive voids that are in between these blocks for those abilities that we talked about. So the tread design on the side really helps with traction when you're in ruts and when you're on loose surfaces like mud and sand and loose gravel, and provides that extra biting and digging of the tire to find traction that's not just on the flat tread surface but all the way onto the sidewall itself. So especially when you're in ruts and you're turning your steering wheel looking for that traction, the tread going onto the side of the tire on these KM3s really provides a lot of function and grip, and you notice it immediately in those tougher off-road situations what that is doing. just to note that wraparound tread block onto the sidewall of the tire on the KM3 is called the traction Armour sidewall sculpture. So that's the term that BF Goodrich use for that sidewall biters, the tread biters on the KM3. That's the traction Armour sidewall sculpture. Now, another technology that goes into these tires is the trademark BF Goodrich Krawl-Tek technology. And what that is the compound of the rubber and silicones and nylons and all of those things that go into this tire. So that Krawl-Tek technology is there to provide you with a compound of rubber that's not only durable but also very sticky and grippy in off-road and on-road situations as well. And that is part of their Krawl-Tek technology. And the next bit of technology provided by these BF Goodrich KM3s is the Coreguard Max technology, which refers to the strength of their sidewall basically. And that has to do with those tread blocks that go from the tread pattern, wrap around and go all the way to the sidewalls, as well as the thickness and material choices of the KM3 sidewalls, which make them really tough. They're 3-ply sidewall, as you would expect from a tire in this segment, and they are really durable, really tough, and made to deflect and form around objects as opposed to having them pierce and puncture. And they're also pierce and puncture resistant in their compound and design. So that technology is used for you to prevent slashes and gashes and punctures in your sidewall, which is one of the top considerations to make when choosing an off-road tire. So another big part of the technology that goes into these KM3 Mud-Terrain tires is the linear flex zone. So the tires are designed that they almost have a curved sidewall going into the tread pattern and tread blocks when aired up, and then once aired down, those side biters and side tread bulge out and create a much bigger footprint and a much bigger contact area when off-road. So it has the benefits of a slightly more concise tread pattern and contact patch on road, while bulging out and creating a very large tread footprint when off-road. So that is part of their linear flex zone. So the last thing that we're just going to touch on now quickly when talking about the structure and design of these KM3 Mud-Terrain tires is the Mud-Phobic Bars, which are also incorporated into the tread design and sidewall biter design of these tires. So as you can see on the tire here, they have these bars that are molded into the tread design, which help to eject stones and mud and add to the self-cleaning properties of the tire when off-road. So that helps your tread patch or your tread design, your tread contact area, to not get caked up and become slick with mud or rocks or sand or gravel or anything like that off-road. And these have done a great job, in my opinion, over the experience and time that I've had with them in doing what they set out to do, which is be mud phobic and also eject stones and any other sort of debris from the tires themselves. And they have a very strong self-cleaning property to them in terms of this tread design. So I think it's about time that we get into my particular and personal experience with these tires. And a lot of people joke and say the best all-terrain tire is a mud-terrain tire. And I think nowadays that statement is more true than ever, because tire technology has come so far, and rubber compound technology, that mud-terrains of yesteryear that were absolutely horrible on road are no longer such a commonplace thing. I would almost say that the on-road development of these tires has far exceeded the off-road development, just in terms of how far these mud terrain tires have come. My experience on-road with the KM3 tires is, initially, your first impressions is they have a lot of grip, and a lot of grip over some older all-terrain and mud-terrain tire options. So because of that soft rubber compound to give you the best ability off-road, that translates onto the on-road traction in terms of having good grip levels and safety when commuting or going on long distance trips or touring or things like that on the bitumen, on tarmac. So the grip levels in the dry are more than adequate in my opinion. I never get into a situation where I feel like I'm running out of grip. Yes, my car isn't the most powerful and it is quite heavy, which also aids in its traction, but all of those factors combined, I've never been in a situation where I felt like traction was an issue in the dry with these tires. And then moving on from the dry grip and traction, in the wet, again, the silica compound in the tires as well as the soft rubber provides really good traction in wet and inclement weather conditions. They also are quite stable and predictable on road. I think because of that stiff sidewall and that, you know, robust sidewall that these tires offer, they are quite stable and provide a lot of grip. And compared to the older KM2 mud-terrain tires by BF Goodrich, the KM3s at least have a degree of siping to eject water and reduce aquaplaning. So from a noise level perspective, you get a slight hum from them. There is no doubt about that. But it is, in my opinion, an absolutely acceptable level of noise, especially from the performance, the looks, everything else that this tire has to deliver. Its noise levels are very acceptable and very commendable on the KM3. I think the only place where these KM3s will have a downside on road and using them as an all-purpose or all-terrain tire is that their life, because of the softer compounds used, will not match that of a good all-terrain tire. So I expect to get maybe about 40,000 kilometers of mixed driving, on-road, off-road, everything like that out of these tires before replacing them, as opposed to 80 to 100,000 from all-terrain. Now, getting to the important part of this video, and I think probably the part that everyone's most excited to hear feedback on, that is the off-road ability of these tires. And that is where the BF Goodrich KM3 really shines and shows its true colors, in my opinion, is how good they are off-road. So immediately once you air down these tires, you feel the softness of that compound making the most of any surface you are on in terms of finding traction. You can feel it's almost like a racing slick for off-road in terms of the rubber's compound and the tires compound, and just where on rocks it feels like it's melting and digging into the rock trying to find traction, and on loose surfaces that tread design coupled with the compound really makes so much traction out of what little is there in terms of the terrain. So the traction off-road was something also I immediately noticed going from all-terrains to these KM3 mud-terrains, is just that leap in traction and ability from gaining that traction was absolutely enormous, and one of the most impressive parts about this tire, in my opinion. When you get the tire pressures right, which is quite important with these tires in my opinion, that combination of how they envelop over obstacles and form their way over these obstacles, how they make themselves mold to these obstacles, coupled with the tread compound, gives you a level of traction that I personally haven't experienced in another off-road tire before. Also, I definitely get where BF Goodrich are coming from in terms of marketing and speaking about the KM3s having that linear flex zone. You can definitely see that it's not just a marketing term, and you actually get to experience that with the tire when you are off-road, and you can see that technology working in the tire as it envelops itself over the obstacles off-road. I can't imagine much more out of any tire that isn't a full competition spec tire, and that has probably been one of the most impressive parts to me. The next biggest thing for me to talk about on the BF Goodrich KM3s when it comes to off-road ability is the durability and how tough and strong, reliable and robust these tires are. Almost every time I go out with the KM3s, I tend to push them even further in terms of the obstacles that I put them on and through. So I just gain confidence with each time I use these tires off-road that I can just push them further and further without punctures and tears and rips being a possibility. And that moves from the tread design and surface to the sidewalls as well. So that confidence has also been built up over the years of use with these tires, that I'm also confident that the sidewalls aren't going to easily get punctured. So I don't go out of my way to put them in harm's way, but at the same time I don't shy away from the road less traveled or from obstacles and paths that might have big sticks and thorns and sharp rocks and things like that, because I do have a lot of confidence in the sidewall and those side biters and tread blocks that go into the sidewall and the thickness of the sidewall itself. And I just continue to push my personal boundaries with where I take these tires because of the confidence I've built up over that period of time with them. So they've really done an outstanding job of making these a tough as nails, hardcore, robust off-road tire. So my overall impression and experience of the tires is that they are an expensive tire and they are a premium tire, but you definitely get what you pay for when it comes to them. They have great on-road manners and great on-road drivability, and when it gets to the off-road aspect and element of them, they are absolutely in their element when they are off-road and in harsh conditions. In mud, sand, gravel, I haven't been in snow with them, so I can't comment there, but every off-road condition that I've been in with these tires, they absolutely thrive, and they give you such confidence and peace of mind in their ability and their capability and how strong and durable they are against bad things happening to them off-road, i.e. getting a puncture, getting a tear in the sidewall, anything like that. I don't think any tire is immune to those sort of things, but these tires hold up to that sort of abuse so fantastically, and I have had nothing but good experiences with them. So would I buy them again after owning 3 sets and having them on 3 different cars? I definitely would own them again, and when a KM4 or whatever they decide to call it comes out, I will be very interested and very keen, and until then I am super happy with the KM3s. I would highly recommend them and I would buy them again myself. So I think that about wraps up everything I wanted to share with you guys regarding these BF Goodrich KM3 tires, and I really hope you found this video insightful and maybe helped you in your purchasing process and looking at reviews and making a decision. And if you like the video, please consider subscribing to see more content, and any likes or shares, anything like that, is always very much appreciated. So we'll see you again soon for some more Symmetry 4-wheel drive missions. Cheers.